Welcome back. It is 1456. In the last one, we did unfortunately lose Odelgard. She did pass away, so she was ill, and then she did not survive when Thomas tried to turn her into a vampire. So, all that to say, Thomas is now a vampire, and Ginevra has aged up into a toddler. But yes, Thomas is a vampire, and he is trying to do the vampire family aspiration. He's trying to do all of that so that he can create more vampires. So this year we have a few birthdays. We have Avice Smith, Catalina Payne, and also Randolph Landgrab, the only Landgrab male. So that is really important. First, we'll roll for Avice, so she can't roll an 18 or a 20, so she has rolled a 7. She survives. Next, Catalina can't roll a 4, 8, or a 12. She rolls a 5, so she's fine. And then lastly, Randolph Landgrab. Oh my gosh, Randolph, you can do this. Randolph Landgrab rolls a 15, so he survives as well. And will he get married and have kids? He will. He'll get married and have 4 children. And this is actually a voiceover. I couldn't do this live. So I realized that I wrote the wrong number in there, and I will fix it. But yes, so there is that. And I was just checking to see, because Randolph is the last Landgrab male. I'm trying to figure out if there's anyone on our list that he can marry, and actually he can't, because he is Osmi's uncle. And also Osmi's getting old, and I didn't realize that she's getting old, so that was a whoops on my part for not marrying her sooner. So I don't know what we're going to do with her yet, but we'll come back to that. So let's hop into the game. All right, so we hop into the game, and the first thing we have is Papa and Frost having a baby, and the baby does survive, and the baby is a boy. So finally, we have Frost the fourth. Very exciting. The Payne family is surviving. Hopefully, they will continue to do so. So there's that. Frost the fourth Payne is now in existence. We'll get everyone pregnant again. Really good. They're on their 3rd child now, the both of them, who have 4 baby tries. And then a lot of people are getting 4 baby tries lately. That's so weird. But anyway, so we are going to, again, have El Rosario focusing on teaching her girls, both Ginevra and Francesca. So they are both going to be learning stuff. Ginevra hasn't really been focused on yet, although you can see that she... she's like she's inquisitive, so she's learning on her own, and she is going to be taught a bit by El Rosario. We don't know yet what her personality is going to look like, so we'll see about that. She hasn't really had a ton of contact with Thomas, because he is been busy with the vampire stuff and with the Odelgard stuff and with the everything stuff. So Thomas is kind of secluding himself, because he is full of grief over Odelgard's death. He's not ready to kind of go back out into society. He was already kind of, not the kind of person who was really big in parties and stuff. He always just went to them for El Rosario. So he is definitely having some problems with, his grieving. But anyway, El Rosario is going to feel comfortable after a few months have gone by to invite some of the ladies over to have just a little, gathering with her friends. So she feels comfortable enough to do that. So we have everyone over here, and El Rosario is obviously very close to Feliz, so that's really good for her. They're going to chat, and then Thomas actually comes out, and El Rosario is surprised that Thomas would even, come down, because he's been really locking himself in his room lately. And so he comes down, and he's talking to Thomasina, and he's like, hey, can I talk to you for a second? So he pulls aside his cousin, and they're talking, and he basically is telling her, I know that you care about the children in the orphanage. She's in charge of the orphanage now. And he's like, I know that you always want to be there for them, and that it's a really turbulent time, and that, wars come and go just like they have, and that's how you lost your father, your only parent that was still alive at the time. And so all of this is happening, and Thomas is basically like, what if I could promise you that you will, live to be there for all of the children and all of the wars? And so he basically is buttering her up to become a vampire. He is trying to talk her into it, and she eventually does agree. And so the reason that Thomas is going to Thomasina and not, say, his wife, his mother, etc., is because Thomas tried to turn Odelgard into a vampire and he failed. He tried and he failed and she died. And so he is not willing to really test it on another really important person to him right away, which is awful to say, is that his cousin isn't as important to him. So he is willing to kind of, use her as a guinea pig and be like, can I turn a sim into a vampire? Will I be successful? And so all of that. So he is going to turn her into a vampire. She's agreed to it. And he just doesn't know how it's going to go. He doesn't know if she's going to survive the procedure, all of that stuff. So that is why he is talking to his cousin and not, say, his wife. So there's all that. Anyway, the gathering is over. Randolph, you're not supposed to be here because you are supposed to be in Windenburg. But anyway, so we have the kids doing their homework. Love that for them. They're super cute. I'm really excited to see, the kids are becoming teenagers soon-ish. So I think probably the girls are becoming children first. But anyway, when the boys, I'm really excited to see the boys as teenagers and all that stuff. I have a lot of plans for how are we going to find them wives? Like, how are we going to, have drama for them? How are we going to make this next generation just as dramatic as the current one? It's just really interesting because it is wild to me how this generation with Thomas has been so much. Like, there's been so much story and drama and all this stuff, and I love it, and I'm so excited by it, and it's definitely making it one of my favorites in, all of our generations. So I'm just really, really enjoying this, and I'm just thinking about in the future, how can we keep this going with the children and keep, making sure that the story stays alive. And so I'm definitely thinking really hard about what is going to be coming up for these kids. Although if you have any suggestions for Ginevra as she's younger, like, I have some ideas for when she becomes, say, a teen or a young adult, but I don't really have a lot of ideas for when she's younger. Because we already have the Francesca Tiffany dynamic going on, but Ginevra is just kind of not really a part of that. If you have any ideas for her, let me know. We can figure it out. But in the meantime, she is just going to be learning her toddler skills. Obviously El Rosario wants all her children to be successful, and she's very much like one of those moms who, wants their kids to, find marriages and be successful and all of that stuff. So there might be a little bit of pressure on the children from her. Anyway, as you can see, Odelgard's ghost has come around. So I was like, Thomas, why don't you talk to her? Oh my gosh. So Thomas is going to talk to Odelgard's ghost and be like, I'm so sorry that I couldn't save you. And she's like, I mean, obviously Odelgard, it's not fine because she wanted to keep living, but she needs to kind of, make sure he doesn't feel bad. So she's just kind of telling him what he wants to hear. Like, oh, it's not your fault. I know you tried. And then she's also going to say to him, like, look, I really, I'm worried about Tiffany. She's my child, and I know that El Rosaria never liked me, and she's not going to bring up the fact that Thomas, the younger, doesn't like her either. But anyway, they're going to go see Tiffany together, and she's just going to be like, look, I know that, my daughter doesn't really have a great place in this household, and I hope that you'll make sure that you take care of her. And Thomas is like, of course I will. Like, she's my daughter, and she's your child, and I love her very, very much, and I'm not going to let, her be mistreated or anything. You don't have to worry about that. And he kind of is a little naive about El Rosaria. He's just like, El Rosaria wouldn't do that. She'll help her out. But I think El Rosaria will help her, just not as much as she would help her own children, and not so much that Tiffany would be able to outshine her children, if that makes sense. So yeah, we then have Thomas has a whim to teach Francesca how to talk, so we're going to do that. She also has a whim to talk to him, so we're going to have them interact with each other. He doesn't really interact with his kids enough. And also, Thomas got a whim to have a child, so I think that that's really interesting. So he has a whim to have a child, and he is going to also talk over his relationship fears with El Rosaria. I think that's really interesting. So maybe he is just feeling like, he's kind of falling back into old patterns that he was in when he first married El Rosaria, where he was like, oh, I'm just, making my family. I'm making them successful. I'm having children. I'm doing my job. I'm doing my job as a husband and as a son. And so he's just kind of maybe falling back into that old pattern. So he's going to talk to El Rosario a little bit. They're going to talk, and they're good friends. Like, it's not like, yeah, their romantic relationship is in the toilet, but they're good friends. They're very close. Like, they could be best friends if I let them. So I think that it's not like they're going to have a bad relationship with each other. But it seems like he's really worrying about it. He wants to talk about relationship fears again with her. But in the meantime, we're going to actually invite Emil over. So Emil is our other cousin, and obviously El Rosario is like, "Ooh," and kind of walks away because she doesn't want to really be seen with him, because pretty much everyone in this family knows that he is the one who is the father of Ginevra. But anyway, we're going to have Thomas and Emil discussing things, and obviously Emil has heard from Thomasina about becoming a vampire and whatever, and Thomas is basically like, Emil, like, you could be the strongest knight ever, you could become a vampire and have vampire strength, and you could become a great warrior and all this stuff. And so Emil also agrees to be a vampire. We need a sample size of more than one in order to see how it goes. So he has changed both Thomasina and Emil, but we're trying to see whether or not it works, like whether or not they survive, and then he can think about whether or not he's going to change some of his other family members that he cares more about, which is really kind of a horrible thing to do, but he's not really taking any more chances with his family. So then we're going to just have everyone doing their thing now that Emil has been also changed. Obviously, it takes a few days, so they're not going to register as vampires right away, and we know as simmers that it's going to be fine. But anyway, so it's really sweet. The twins want their grandmother to be friends with them. How sweet is that? They want to be friends with their grandmother. And I love that, because obviously Adelaide is going to be close to her grandchildren. She's close to her children, especially after her husband died. Like, she comes over all the time, and we see her a lot, which is really great. Even though she is just kind of doing her own thing now, we will definitely try, and once the new pack comes out, we'll see if we can get her like into a house on this land, if she even lives that long. Her death is on the calendar, so we'll have to see how it goes. But yes, and also, oh wait, I already said that. But anyway, Thomas does want to have another kid, but we'll come back to that probably like in a year or two or whatever. Like, he's not going to jump right back into bed with El Rosaria. Their relationship really isn't that great romantically right now. I don't think that they would move that quickly. So anyway, we're going to have the kids come here and exchange friendship bracelets. How fun is that? The twins are definitely close to each other. It's not like one is better than the other. I really do feel like they're both pretty great. And like, as they get older, I don't feel like there's going to be any sort of like, question about what, the heir and all that stuff. I think that they could both do a great job regardless. So, I mean, there are only boys. Remember, we had twin boys and we were so excited that the boys survived, and then we did lose Gregory, but we have 3 girls and 2 boys. So, I mean, actually, technically our only other supposed to be heir would be Francesca, because you're not supposed to do illegitimate children as heirs, though we've broken that rule before, so we'll see. But anyway, I think we'll be okay. I think we'll probably have our boys survive somehow. So, whoa, that is all queuing up really fast. Yeah, it's, I had to pause the game because nothing was happening as per usual. So anyway, Thomas wants a hug. Oh my gosh, why don't you can get a hug, Thomas? That's totally fine. He obviously is having a really hard time with Odelgard's death, and so he is just, finding comfort in his friend, his best friend, and slightly romantic partner. Their romance is definitely improving over time. I do think that we can get back to a good place with them. Obviously, there's going to be this feeling that El Rosaria has forever now that, like, she wasn't the one he chose. She wasn't first choice. She only is really going to have any of his affection because Odelgard died. So that's really tough for her as well, that she has to focus on that. She does not know that he's a vampire yet, so he is just doing his vampire studying and stuff. He is really trying to make sure that he can be strong for his family, and he can make sure his family lives a long time. So there's that. We get to potty level 3 with Ginevra, so that's really great. And yes, she doesn't know he's a vampire, but he still needs plasma, so he's going to drink from her every once in a while and then use his vampire powers to make her forget that. So we're just going to have her, hallucinate. That's the power. So she's just kind of talking to herself. She's dazed. Oh, and there is Thomasina. just changed into a vampire for reals. So a part of this aspiration as well is to train 3 of your offspring. So we can call her over at some point and train her. So then that will be 1. Definitely imparting his vampire wisdom onto her and, checking in, seeing how she is. Is she doing well? Is she healthy? All that stuff. This is definitely something that he is taking slow. He only was very fast last time because Odelgard was going to die anyway. But when it comes to, the healthy members of his family, he's going to definitely be more cautious. So there is that. We're going to chit-chat with her a bit. I mean, their relationship seems okay. Again, she's a mean sim, so every once in a while they both throw those little grenades at each other. So there is that. But let's see if we can get their romance up a little bit each year, and then we'll kind of see where that goes. So that's really great, and they are definitely doing their best to be good parents, and he is trying to get through his grief and all of that stuff. It's definitely one of those things where I feel like he is just focusing on the vampire stuff as a way to not think about how much he's grieving Odelgard's loss, but he is going to train Thomasina now in the vampire ways, kind of teaching her about what he's learned and all of that stuff. So it's really important to him that, he's able to make strong vampires out of what he can do so that, his family is taken care of forever, right? Because he, eventually would want to change everyone. Like it doesn't bother him that his cousins are now vampires. He's not worried about them doing anything against him because they're family. So anyway, Thomasina was never going to have kids anyway, so it's not really a big deal over there. But Emil is currently having children, so that's really interesting. We'll have to see where that goes. And we'll come back to that, later when some babies are being born from him and Felice. So there's that. He is again doing the vampire thing. Really not terribly exciting to watch him reading all the time. But anyway, we are going to have Ginevra be learning about the thinking skill. It's really important that she does that because she's inquisitive, so that's something that she kind of leans towards, is that, again, the same as Francesca, that book smarts. I don't think that she's going to be as, I think she's just going to be kind of like, the little sister that nobody really worries about. It's not like she's a threat to Tiffany or Francesca. She is, but she's going to be, her own person, obviously, and smart in her own right. So we'll see that later. Again, if you have any ideas, let me know. But we are going to not worry about her in that dynamic between Tiffany and Francesca. So there's that. And then we have, today is the birthday of, whose birthday? No, it's Harvest Fest. I was like, whose birthday is it? It's no one's birthday. It's going to be Harvest Fest. So it's Thanksgiving. Even though they didn't have Thanksgiving at this point in time, Thanksgiving isn't really a thing. Just pretend it's some holiday that they're going to worry about. So, yeah, there's no such thing as Thanksgiving at this time period. But I haven't changed the holidays. So we're just going to roll with it. We're going to say it's something else. And, they're just having wow, that got fulfilled really easily. So anyway, we're just going to have a family dinner. We'll invite over Adelaide as well, have everyone come over again because Dante wants to be Adelaide's friend as well. Looks like Emil just changed into a vampire, so he's all set as well. They both became vampires successfully. And so Thomas is wondering if maybe it was because they have a stronger constitution. Odelgard was already sick, so maybe you just need to be strong enough to make it through there. So let's call everyone to a grand meal, and we will have them just all eating together as a family. It's very sweet. Oh, I keep forgetting that Thomas can't eat food, and then he goes and he throws up because he's a vampire and he shouldn't be eating. So anyway, he ran off to go throw up and then has come back to just sit and kind of push food around on his plate. But we are going to have everyone chatting with Adelaide, enjoying each other's company, and really having a good time on this holiday together. So they are all just hanging out and having dinner and all of that. So we're just getting Dante to be friends with Adelaide. That is his whim, so we're going to try and follow it as best we can. So Thomas already is now friends with his grandmother, so Dante also wants to be friends with his grandmother, which is really sweet. I just really like that they have that whim, that they want to be close to their grandmother, especially because, it's such a blessing to have her in their lives. they probably don't really remember their grandfather as well because they were so young when he died. So it's definitely a blessing for them to be able to have her there. So while they're talking, we're also going to have Thomas and Alrosaria getting along better again, just enjoying each other's company. And then I'm going to bring Thomas over here, and we'll get Adelaide over here as well. So basically, as you know, Adelaide's maiden name is Vitor. So her grandfather was a vampire. Several of her relatives are vampires, obviously. So she recognizes the signs, and she, kind of recognizes them in Thomas just by spending some time with him. And so she's going to tell him, like, Thomas, I know what's going on here. And so Thomas just, confesses to her, like, yes, I've become a vampire. I'm doing this for my family. I can turn you too. And she's like, no, 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 no. She's like, Thomas, vampires have never had, happy endings in this family. It's never gone well. They've never succeeded in living forever. They're all dead now. And she's just kind of telling him, like, Thomas, this is really a dangerous choice. And he's like, I understand, Mom, but I'm doing this for our family. I don't want to lose anyone ever again. You know what it feels like to be losing everyone all the time. We lost Dad and Genevieve, and just everyone keeps dying. And so he's just really telling his mom, like, I can't take it. I can't take it anymore. And this is my choice, and this is what I choose. And he's like, I hope you'll join me and we can be together forever. And she's like, no, Thomas, I don't want to be a vampire. I love you, but I feel like I've lived a good life. I've gotten everything I needed to out of it, and I want to be with your father in the netherworld after. I don't want to be here forever without the person that I love. So she's basically rejecting his proposal to, allow her to become a vampire. He probably wouldn't have done it soon, but she's getting older, so that's really something that they're worried about. So anyway, that is what happened. That is where we're going to wrap up. So I'm just going to give a little Avice a makeover. We are going to, what other makeovers do we have to do? I probably should have given the vampire makeovers to Thomasina and Emil, but I didn't. So anyway, I think that's it for this one. Yeah, we're going to give Little Frost, we have to go into this household to age up some Sims, so that's what we're going to do, and we're going to wrap up there. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this part. I am really excited. In the next part, I believe the girls are aging up, so I'm a little nervous about it, but we will do our best to, cross our fingers and hope they survive. I guess there's really nothing we can do about whatever the dice roll. I guess we can plead for them if we can try, but it's hard with the kill any Sim mod. But anyway, so that is where we're going to wrap up. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next one.